Okay, officially, happy Sunday night and Team Zoom. I am going to try to keep this a little bit shorter and a little bit sweeter because I know that Sunday nights in the summer it's just super active, right? It's really, really active. But I am proud of you for taking this time to plug in, Nikki. I love that you have your sweet little man on your lap. I love that we can do this in the moment and that you can plug in to grow because exactly what we're going to talk about tonight with some of the atomic habits, the first three chapters in that, and how it can relate to not just to plexus, but to life in general. And the reason that you've developed the habits to show up here are the reason that you're going to be able to get where you want to be in this if you are willing to keep growing through it. Because once you start and you develop the habit, and a lot of you know, it was hard to switch, at least it was for me, from Monday nights to Sunday nights. Because for the Wendy's like, oh yeah, you messed up my schedule, man. Because for the last 7 years, those of you that have been, I mean, it's been almost 7 years. I joined in August and started really growing a team in December of that year with y'all. And so if you've been here since then, since we started growing a team, we have done Monday night Zooms at 9 o'clock. It's become a habit. It doesn't start that way right away, but we've developed certain systems on this team. And so I really want to dive into this book with you guys tonight, get your thoughts on it, but then also kind of tie it back into plexus and how this is going to be a really duplicatable business for you guys if you're willing to not just develop the habits, but to get over the mindset piece that goes with it. So let me bring this up. And I'm going to keep on dropping those carrots, Terry, because the stuff that is coming at the end of this month is dynamite. And I don't want any one of you to sit at convention, whether you're there or you are watching it virtually, and think, man, I really, really wish that I would have done a little bit more, because the things that are happening are going to help every single person grow, whether it's a brand new person and they just want a simple system to be able to reach out to people, or it's somebody that has quit the products on you and needs a way to be able to come back, or just to be able to reach out to those people that have been kind of on the fence. I know I love in Wendy and Jess's group chat, they were just talking about it and holding each other accountable for their VIP lists. Those things that you're doing will matter. And those habits that you're starting to develop now will matter. So I want you to be able to keep going with it. And it's not just plexus, right? This relates to life, those of you that are reading this. So I was doing one of my own little, can y'all see this? Wendy, can you see my screen? I was doing my own little coaching call today and working through a couple of things. And this really, really hit me. She said that 1% of people operate out of a place of vision, and 99% of people operate from a place of history. And I think that that can relate to so many of us, because we can sometimes have a goal, right? But then we get caught up in what's happened in the past. So a really simple example is we go to put up a post about something, but maybe in the past, somebody has said something negative, or we haven't gotten as many likes as we've wanted, or we put 30 minutes into coming up with a post and it doesn't have an immediate gratification story aligned with it. And so instead of operating out of a place of, well, this post could be the post that changes everything for me, and operating out of a place of vision, we operate out of a place of our past. And when you can start to operate out of that place of vision and not on your past circumstances, I mean, guys, we can think about this in every aspect, right? Relationships with significant others, relationships with food, getting up and getting going out of the day. You know, every single part of our life can relate to this. But if we can see the vision of where we want to be, then we can start to really do the things and know that we're going to develop the habits that are going to make a difference. And the beautiful part of this is you don't have to look at this and think like, man, out of 100 people, 99% or 99 of them are operating out of place of history. Here's the deal, y'all. Most people are not operating out of a place of growth. You're already there because you joined Plexus, you wanted better health, you're on these calls because you want something more. So you've already got the first piece of this, right? You're already starting to operate out of a place of vision. Now you just have to keep going to the next step. And the next step is changing the habits that history has us replacing. Okay, so I love this part of the book where it says if you want to predict where you're going to end up in life, all you have to do is follow the curve. And I know that this is maybe not the best example, but have you had tiny gains or tiny losses? So if you're making those and you guys have heard me say this over and over again, if you're making those tiny 1% habit increases, your curve is obviously going to go up, right? But how many times have you talked to people and they're like, man, I don't know how I got here. Like, how did I I was 30 pounds overweight and I didn't want to move anymore? Well, I know that I hate using examples like that because we often get pinned as a weight loss company, but that stuff just doesn't happen overnight, right? And I've been there in the last couple of months. I was operating out of a place of going into my pantry and grabbing crap every time I've gone in there. And it's those 1% decreases over time that make it really easy to get into a place where you're unhealthy again. That happens over and over and over again in every aspect of our life. So when you log on to Facebook, are you spending 45 minutes scrolling reels and then not doing anything? Are you spending 45 minutes scrolling through posts? Or are you getting those tiny gains? Because I know Wendy and I have talked about this. When I get on Facebook, I see Jess blowing it up on there. Like she's commenting on tons of stuff, right? She's being relational. She's going out and creating those tiny gains that are why she's going to be able to keep on having people come in with her. I love this. There's a quote, and I'm going to get the number. Oh, let me look at. So I put a little piece of, or that picture of bamboo there, because I love this, how it says. So breakthrough moments are often the result of many previous actions, which build up with potential required to unleash major change. How many of you guys have been doing little things that you're like, man, doesn't really matter? I know Angie talked about this on Morning Mindset this week. It's the little things that she had been hearing over and over and over that she was like, yeah, I don't really think that that's going to make a difference, but I want to do it and I'm going to try to do it. And then she started and she's seeing gains. Oh, go ahead, Ange. Oh, okay. So then it says, bamboo can barely be seen for the first 5 years it builds an extensive root system underground. And then in 6 weeks, it explodes 90 feet in the air. How many of y'all, and I could get emotional talking about this, have gotten tired in this journey? You're like, man, I've been doing this for months and months, for years and years, and I haven't gotten where I've wanted to be. I have felt that way too. Y'all, it's normal. But what if the work that you are intentionally doing was right before your biggest breakthrough? Was that bamboo growth where in 6 weeks, you're going to go from barely being noticed to being 90 feet in the air? Y'all, that can happen for every single one of you. But it depends, right? It depends on if you're having those 1% habit increases or those 1% habit decreases. And so this is called the plateau of latent potential, right? And we do this all the time. How many of y'all have been on a coaching call where you're like, man, I'm doing all the work, I'm doing all the things, and I'm just not seeing the success? I know I've said it. Complaining about not achieving success despite working hard is like complaining about an ice cube not melting when you've heated it from 25 to 31 degrees. You're watching that ice cube, you keep having those 1 degree increases, but it ain't doing anything, right? But when it hits 32 degrees, what happens? It melts because of the work that you've done leading up to that, but you don't see it until it hits that 32 degrees. And we see this happen all the time in Plexus. I've done this before too. I've watched other people and it's like, man, all of a sudden this team is exploding. All of a sudden this person, like they double ranked emerald, sapphire, sapphire, diamond. This person went diamond in 6 months or 18 months, and it's taken me 6 years and I'm still not there. So what's wrong with me? We didn't see all the 1% habit increases, those 1 degree changes before the explosion, right? Before the ice cube melted. The world only sees the breakthrough. We only see the highlight reels. And then we do all the comparing in the world because we think that we're not good enough. When in reality, if we're willing to get those habits down, we're going to have our melting point in a good way. We're going to have our bamboo growth. We just have to keep the course. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I know I have done in the past too, but also what I see happening a lot, because once you realize things in yourself, right, you can identify it when it's happening in other places. I love this quote. It says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So how many of us have had these huge, huge goals? And then we go to sit down and it's like, ooh, boy, I know I was really fired up on that call last night, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. It's because we can watch all the things, we can do all the things, we can listen to all the things, but if we don't actually sit down to implement them and to make those behavior changes and to implement the systems, we're going to fall to it every single time. One of the best examples in my life, and I know that you guys have seen this, that have kind of been around me a lot. Chelsea was huge in this. Wendy has been huge in this. I would go every single morning. I would wait for my kids to wake me up. My alarm would go off 72 times, and then they would come running in, and then the morning, because I kept hitting snooze buttons, and then the morning would be completely rushed. And I was trying to get them out of the door, and I was yelling at them, and I was grouchy, and then I would drop them off at school, and I felt awful because the whole morning had been rushed. I had this huge goal of having a good morning, but I didn't have the system put in place to have the good morning. So many of us have a goal to be able to get to the next rank, but we're not willing to come up with a system. We're not willing to set a date with ourselves and actually stick with it. Yeah, we have the systems on our team. And if you don't like them, it's not a bad thing. We can change them, right? You can change anything in this, but you have to have a system. And it has to not just be about the outcome. So this behavior change, if you've got the book, it's on page 30. But if you basically think about this from going from outcomes to process to identity, if we only look at the outcome, if you only look at whatever your next rank is, insert it, right? Senior silver, ruby, emerald, whatever it is, senior gold, whatever your next goal is going to be, if you only look at the outcome and think like, man, I really want to be there, but you don't change the process of what you're doing to get there and be really honest with yourself about this. So often we think that we've failed, but in reality, we've only gone after the outcome. It's not a bad thing to want more money, to be able to have less stress, to be able to have time freedom. But if we're only thinking about those things and not actually going after the process of what's going to change it, it's not going to happen the right way for us, right? Because unless we change our identity, and not like we have to do like a whole revamping of who we are, but unless we change how we think about it and get those systems down, unless I would have started thinking, you know what? Instead of just having a goal of having a good morning, I've got to really change my process, which means I also have to change what I think about myself, that I can get up earlier in the morning, that I am no longer the crippled person that can't go up and down stairs, that I'm worth treating my body like a gift and getting up and working out and taking my supplements and spending extra time with my kids in the morning. Those things have to start within me. You have to realize, y'all, that you have a gift with this, that you putting up a post and changing a life with somebody, that's worth it. Because it's when you change the identity, it's when you change the way that you think about this, that the process is going to change, because you're going to want to do it, right? It's no longer just about this obscure thing of being gold or senior gold or emerald or diamond. It's about how many lives you've changed on the way because you really truly believe that you're worth it and feel it within, and you're passionate about it. And I want that for every single one of you. And I want you to know that it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And we talked about this, right? How many people watched the call with Kim the other night and you were like, oh my gosh, there's so many amazing systems in here. Drop a 1 in the comments if this was you. There's so many amazing systems in here. And now I've got to change every single thing that I've ever done because now I need to be able to do what she's doing. A lot of us felt that way, right? No, it doesn't necessarily have to do with having her system. Does she have amazing tips? Yeah, that's why we wanted her on the call with you. But you don't have to do every single thing that she's doing. But I do want you to get this habit loop down. So every single habit that we have is created, right? Everything. Like you turn on a light switch, this example in there, super simple. You turn on a light switch, it's because you don't want to be in the dark, right? That's a habit. You don't even think about that habit anymore because it's become so automatic. Here's one that I've had. I have this obsession with white chocolate and marshmallows. I don't even need them all the time, but it has become like the little ringing of the bell with the dog. Do you guys remember that from psychology class? Anyway, it's like I walk into my pantry, I see the marshmallows, I see the chocolate, I automatically get hungry. And I automatically have a craving because I've created the habit that every time I walk into the pantry, I grab one. It's not a good habit. It's still a habit. So you have a cue, you've got the craving, then there's a response, and then there's a reward. I'm going to relate this to plexus for you because this habit loop doesn't always happen in plexus the way that it happens in life. So there's an example here, a cue. You're walking down the street on your way to work, you see a donut shop, you smell a donut shop, right? That's the cue. Your olfactory senses are triggered. Then you have a craving, right? You begin to crave the donut or whatever food it might be, a cookie shop, coffee, whatever your thing of choice is. The response is that you go and buy it and you eat it. And then it tastes really good. So the next day on your way to work, what happens? Same thing over and over again. You smell the donut, you begin to crave it. You know, if you eat it, it's going to taste good. And so you want to do it again, right? This can either happen good or it can happen bad. Think about exercising. We don't always want to do it, but the cue is that you know, and the craving and the response and the reward that when you do it and those natural endorphins start going, you're going to crave it. You're going to feel really good. This happens in every single habit that we have. However, our culture has gotten really, really good at not waiting for a reward. Okay. So we put up a post. Let's say we get off of a call with Krista Deary, somebody that inspires the crap out of us. We get off a call. The cue is that you've listened to them, you've gotten inspired. The craving is now I want to be able to do what they're doing. I want the time freedom. I want the health freedom. I want to be able to go diamond tomorrow. Right? You've got the cue, you've got the craving. Your response is that for that day, you are all in. You're messaging 50 people, you're putting up a post, you put up a story. And then what happens? In your mind, you're telling yourself, I'm going to go diamond today. The reward in plexus doesn't happen that fast. It doesn't always. Sometimes it does. Wendy and Jess and I were talking about this the other day. 90 days out. That's a long time to wait sometimes when you want it yesterday, because we live in an Amazon Prime society, right? We tell people when they join us that your health isn't going to happen overnight. But then in our businesses, it's like, oh, wait, well, let's forget everything that we're telling all of these people about our products because I want my business to grow overnight. And we don't get the reward right away. So then what do we end up thinking? We end up thinking that our system is broken or that our habit isn't working. And so we abandon it. And instead of taking 21 or 42 days or 90 days to get a really good habit down and see if it's going to work, and a lot of times it can take a year to build something that's really, really sustainable. Instead, we just abandon it and we forget about it and we move on to the next shiny thing that we think is going to give us the immediate gratification. When in reality, y'all, you know the things to do a lot of the times. And if you don't, we have group chats, right? You can jump in, you can ask questions, but it's not as much about the habit as it is about the doubt that you have that goes with the habit. And so you abandon the system thinking that you're doing something wrong. When in reality, the simple system is there for you. And I really want to remind you of that tonight. Y'all, make your list. How do you have a duplicatable system in this? Keep a list of people. Okay, this starts with the basics. You've got to be posting. You've got to be putting things in your stories. I cannot tell you how many times I have people that message me, hey, so-and-so, are they still doing Plexus? Because I haven't seen them post about it. I haven't seen it in their stories. And those of you that are leaders, and I'm guilty of this too, I don't always post in my stories. But if I want y'all to do it, what do I have to do? I've got to be doing it too. If I want you guys to start watching all of the stuff that I'm posting in the team page, what do I need to be doing? I've got to be watching it too. And that means developing a system, right? I love that Angie talked about this week. It's 5 minutes. She used to think like, okay, yeah, Brie, that's great to say, but 5 minutes plus 5 minutes plus 5 minutes still adds up to a lot of extra time. But if you learn the simple habits of playing the video while you're driving, of doing the things that you know to do, and getting rid of the thought processes that go around it and the excuses that we make, we really can dive in and make a world of difference. So number one, keep your list. You've got to have a list. I even have one that sits right on my desk with all the builders on our team that I know that I need to message and keep in contact with. Because guess what? If it's not there, I forget to do it. I think I'm pretty good with follow-up, but I still make super bonehead mistakes and don't follow up with everybody. I'm human. Keep a list of people that have messaged you. We went over that this week on Mindset, how to search for that stuff in your messengers or in your messages. Keep your list. Make a date with yourself for your IPAs. Y'all, simplest system in the world, ATM. Add them to the Health and Happiness Lounge. Tag them in a post. They tell you that they need help with fibromyalgia or migraines or whatever it is. Search bar, tag them in a post, and then message them. Add, tag, message. Because even if they do not end up joining that day, they're already in that page and they're getting lots of follow-up. Don't overcomplicate this, guys. The follow-up piece, loving on them. If you struggle with any of these areas, the team page now, and I'm going to show you in just 1 second before we hop off, just to kind of refresh you. There are videos in there about everything. I keep adding them. I want you to be adding to it too. If you want a duplicatable business, you've heard me say this 1,000 times over the last couple of years, you've got to share the business. You've got to tell people. And that starts with the referral link, right? Hey, this month, I just want you to know all aspects of Plexus. If you have 3 friends and family that you want to do this with and you want to get healthy together, it's $400 back for you. That's it. No, that's sharing the business. And then once they go silver, I had a girl go fast start silver last month. Guess what she wants to do this month? Because she just got her paycheck. She wants to go senior silver. Now she wants to know more about the business. It matters. And then y'all work smarter, not harder. You don't have to recreate everything. I don't know what this is up on. Let me just check really quick. It might be up on messages. Okay. So just as a refresher, I want you to go to the For the Love of Pink page, and you can do this as we are going through it. If you want to do it on your phone, because I'm a huge believer in that too. On your phone, there's a little scroll message up about on the top underneath of where you can invite people. On a computer, a lot of times you have to do this more, and then media, and then click on albums. This is also a really good way if y'all are feeling lost in team pages. If you click on photos, or do you see how like I have these all scheduled in? So if you're looking for something that had been recently posted, this is the easiest way to find it. And then you can click on the pictures that are there. If you click on albums, I know we have people message all that. And if you can't pull these up, like I know Nikki Hostler sometimes is out in the middle of nowhere camping. Ashley Baker just lives in the middle of nowhere and never has service. And so they'll message and ask for things. Clearly, if you can't get it to load, ask. That's why we're here. But every single one of these is updated. So if you want getting started guides, it's here. I just uploaded. I love the look of these. Some people love the look of these more. There are choices there for you for all of the welcome pack options that we have. All of the getting started guides are there for you. If you struggle with knowing this business sharing is there too, with graphics that you can send to people. If you're struggling with duplication tips, if you need places to be able to go and pull story graphics from so that you don't have to search or recreate, that's what every single one of these albums is about. And I'm still adding to them. But then down under here, this podcast and training, if you find yourself having 10 or 15 minutes and you want to pop in and watch something quick, underneath of this podcast and training, I've been putting different graphics to tell you, like if you need help with vision, there's vision calls there. It is all there for you. And if there is something that's not, message me. Okay. It is absolutely imperative, y'all, that you start doing it and believing in it. Because when you can really dive in and realize that you don't have to climb the whole mountain in one day, that you can't, right? Nobody can. But if you're willing to do the baby steps to still walk that mile, and if you're willing to link arms with people and do it with them, you absolutely have everything that it takes. And I want to remind you of this. Take a look at the people on this call. Take a look at the people that are in our group chat. The thing is that I think we have almost 5,000 people on our team now. Not every single person gets on these, right? You don't need every single person on your team to start sharing the opportunity with you. You need to lock arms with a couple, and those couple are going to go with you. Spend 80% of your time with the top 20% of your team. Love on everybody, but the people that you know that you can cast that vision to, cast the vision, and then keep doing the follow-up. But if you're feeling like maybe you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and you're like, I just don't know. I don't know when I sit down, like, what do I do? Look at your systems. Go into the team page. Are you doing your IPA? Are you posting? Are you putting up stories? The simple steps can get you where you want to be. Establish them first, and then the rest will come after. And reach out. I love this week. Kathy and Angie and I got to jump on a call together for a little while. And I know that both of them will say it because I think all three of us were crying by the end of it. But I love that we get to do those things together. You're never in this by yourself. And sometimes it can feel like we've got to move the mountain before we can get started. We don't. We just have to take one step. And we have to realize that our goals and our dreams are worth us taking that step. And then ask the question so that you know you're not doing it by yourself. Okay. Tomorrow morning, we'll start our 30 minutes. We'll do from 7 to 7:30. First 10 minutes will just kind of be mindset, going over what's going on this week, and then doing our 20 minutes of IPA and really diving into to back office together, and I will be recording them too, so people can do them later in the day. Any questions before we hop off? All right. I love you, ladies. Next week, I don't know who's up. Angie, Wendy, Lena, somebody, maybe it's me. I don't know. I'll look. But we'll do chapters 4, 5, and 6 next week. All right. Love you, ladies. Have a good night, everybody.